Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Strictly Sports NFL Saturday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher, and we are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him Monday night for Ridiculously Raw. Week 2 of the NFL season started on Thursday night in a game that we had pegged as our zone game of the week, but this thing ended up being a lot more entertaining than we initially thought. It was the Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns won the game by the score of 35-30. And as if that wasn't big enough, it was also announced during the game that Fox lead play-by-play announcer Joe Buck will be receiving the Pete Rozelle Award from the NFL Hall of Fame, from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, rather. So a big all-around night, to say the very least. Joe Burrow, a great game as his first great game as a pro, even though it was in a losing effort. He threw for about 316 yards. I think he had like 3 touchdowns in the game, but the Browns got it done. Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb and company, they got the win in a game that we didn't really have any high hopes for, but for the second week in a row, the Zonk game of the week ended up delivering. So that's a good sign. So we'll have to wait and see what we decide for that game next week, and who knows, maybe that could be entertaining too. But anyways, the Browns won 35-30. Far more entertaining game. Great night on Thursday. Nothing more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. Very entertaining game. Browns winning 35-30, and on top of that, Joe Buck getting the big honor from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as he will be receiving the very prestigious Pete Rozelle Award. All around big night.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well, big night. No doubt about it. The game itself was, yeah, I think a lot of people didn't really think it was going to be anything that special or anything else because of the track record of the Cincinnati Bengals and the track record of the Cleveland Browns, especially from the past. But they actually gave us a really good, entertaining matchup that was worthy of being under the lights. So yeah, it was a great game. Very, very, very good matchup. And as far as what happened to our friend Joe Buck getting the Pete Rozelle Award, it's well deserved. This man's been in the NFL or working with the NFL for, I want to say, it seems like almost 20 years now. And, he's done a great job. He was the man to take over after another legend of the game, Pat Summerall. When Pat Summerall left and John Madden left, they were the hearts and soul of Fox Sports. As many of you guys know, they started it off as the guys for CBS, and then when Fox decided to get into this the fray of football, they grabbed Madden and Summerall and became the dynamic duo for Fox for a number of years. And then it was after Super Bowl 36, as a matter of fact, when Summerall decided to say that this was it for him, that he was going to leave and retire. Right after that, it was that next year, Joe Buck took over as the lead man for the NFL on Fox, and has been the guy to take us through many Super Bowl moments in our career. Through 42, the call for Plaxico Burress, to the infamous comeback for the Patriots in Super Bowl 51. And, there's a lot of few and far in between moments that he's done for the NFL. So, without a doubt, truly, truly, truly a well-deserving honor for him, and congratulations to Joe Buck. I know there's a lot of critics out there. A lot of people don't like his style of commentary. Nobody really thinks he sounds very robotic, never ever excited for any of the moments that happen. Some people just doesn't like him on the broadcast booth, but I'm one of the people on the minority. I like his games. I think he does a good job, commentary wise. And for me, he deserves this moment. So I'm not gonna, I know there's a few people that is bashing the decision, but I'm sorry, I disagree. I think he deserves it. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I 100% agree, MF. You're absolutely right. And you do the Joe Buck style when it comes to baseball, and I take over for the football style. And him and Troy Aikman, they're the second longest duo in history, only behind the legendary Summerall and Madden and the whole 9 yards, and a well-deserved honor. And yes, he does have his detractors, but you can't please everybody, as we say. And it's a great moment. It came out of nowhere. I mean, it was a big surprise, not just for him, but for all of us as well. And it was a great moment to see that the other night. I really enjoyed it. So, and enjoyed the game too. So 35-30, Cleveland beating Cincinnati. And next week, when it comes to these teams, real quick, Cincinnati will be going to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. Game that will be on our side next week. And the Cleveland Browns will be going home. Will stay at home rather, and they will host the Washington football. So we'll get into that next week. But let's get into this week's action now, and we're going to start it off with a game that, well, you would normally see on Fox, but it got cross-branded to our side, to CBS, and here we go. The New York Giants squaring off against the Chicago Bears from Soldier Field in Chicago. This game will be on CBS, and Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn will have the call for that one. Chicago opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. Chicago leads the all-time series 29-21 with 2 ties. They met last year in Chicago. Chicago won that one 19-14. The Giants have not won in Chicago since 2007. 21-16 was the final there. So without any further ado, we're going to hit the reset button, and we're going to start off with the Giants and the Bears. So this was the penultimate Zonk game of the week. This is the game before the Zonk, by the way. What to watch for? The focus is squarely on Bears quarterback Mitchell Trubisky. The embattled former second overall pick led Chicago to a memorable fourth quarter comeback last week, but not even Trubisky's 3 touchdown passes in the final 15 minutes could cover up for how inconsistent he played in the opening 3 quarters at Ford Field. Head coach Matt Nagy wants even play from the 25-year-old quarterback. The Giants might present Trubisky with an opportunity to have a more balanced performance on Sunday. Bold prediction, Bears wide receiver Allen Robinson tops 150 yards receiving. Robinson is not happy with his contract, and what better way to prove he deserves to get paid than to play against the Giants defense? Robinson's best game last year came against the Giants, when he had 131 yards receiving and a touchdown. The Bears put him in the slot throughout the game and let him eat. The Giants apparently haven't fixed that problem. Juju Smith-Schuster caught 6 passes on 6 targets for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns out of the slot against the Giants on Monday night. Stat to know, Giants running back Saquon Barkley had just 6 rushing yards in week 1 and averaged minus 0.2 yards before contact per rush. His 3.96 yards per rush since week 7 of last year is the 10th lowest average in the NFL among 32 players with at least 100 rushes in that span. What to know for fantasy? New York quarterback Daniel Jones has run for at least 20 yards in 5 of his past 7 games and thrown at least 40 passes in 7 of his past 9. And the betting nugget, Chicago is 1-6 against the spread in its past 7 games as a favorite. Chicago, the FPI favorite, 65.5%. I am going with the Chicago Bears to win this game. My final score, it's going to be a little closer than what the experts have it. I'm going to say 21-18. Chicago beats the Giants and go to 2-0. So nothing more to say. MF, yes, you were right about Chicago last week, but admit it, it was dicey against Detroit early before they turned it on in the 4th.
No, and you're absolutely right. And the one thing that I was really worried about was, the thing that really caught my eye about this game, and the one big problem or the one big knock was Mitchell Trubisky. And Trubisky never made that big mistake, especially in that fourth quarter. Like you said, 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter that opened the door. And plus, Chicago kind of got a gift. DeAndre Swift had a surefire touchdown in his hands and dropped it. If he wouldn't have made that catch, I think Chicago loses. But look, I know what the knock is. A lot of people were saying the same thing about, if Chicago's this and that and blah 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 blah. Look, Chicago proved it. Mitchell Trubisky, the biggest knock we always had on Trubisky was he never ever delivers in the clutch. He never has a big moment. This was his biggest moment yet. Winning the game, coming back from behind, 17 down, and doing what he did. And that's remarkable. I mean, that basically made me flip my lid about a lot of things about Chicago. Now, as far as the Giants go, like you said, they ran into the Pittsburgh Steelers. They looked good early, and then Pittsburgh just walloped them at the end. And the thing was that, yes, their secondary got exposed. When they went into the slot, they got lit up. Like, it was bad. But the secondary but New York was getting theirs. They couldn't run it, but Darius Slayton absolutely went off in that game. Now, if Daniel Jones and Darius Slayton gets going again, that at least mitigate the damage. Even though I truly believe Chicago will win the game again, because you got Khalil Mack in the defense. The defense is going to want to get a little something to prove because they felt like they kind of got a little disrespected last week. 2, Mitchell Trubisky could have a big game this time around. And the thing is, they probably don't need for him to be like perfect like he did last week, because if you can utilize the run game this time, which the Giants got exposed, and you saw what happened with I think it was Snellick. He went off for over 100 yards rushing. So the defense of the Giants is going to have to tighten up this time around. If they don't tighten up, it's going to be a blowout at the Meadowlands, and it's going to be a thrashing again. So I believe Chicago will get the job done, but I'm not as keen on the closeness like you did, Florio. 28-17 is my score, and I got the Bears knocking off the Giants. So next game.
And by the way, the game's in Chicago.
All right, I stand corrected.
Okay, so let's move on to our next game, and MF will start it off. Our first Fox game of the week, it'll be the Atlanta Falcons squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Kevin Burkhardt, Daryl Johnston, and Pam Oliver. Dallas Cowboys 4-point favorites, and Dallas also leads the all-time series 15-11. Their last meeting was 2018 in Atlanta. Dallas won 22-19. Last meeting in Dallas was 2015. Atlanta won 39-28. Cowboys last beat the Falcons at home in the first year of Cowboys Stadium, 2009, 37-21. So there's all the schematics. I got to step away real quick. So, MF, take the Falcons and the Cowboys first for a bit.
All right. And you know what? I'm going to say it. Last week, Dallas got embarrassed. I mean, all that work, all that offense, everything that they were talking about, the most explosive offense in all of the NFL, goes into SoFi Stadium and gets upsetted. They lose to the LA Rams. And look, normally the way that you do the game is that you feed Ezekiel Elliott and you let him run around, go run amok, whatever you want to do, and then you go and then you do Dak Prescott. Zeke was getting his. Zeke was doing good. He had his great game, but Dak was off. Dak couldn't make the big play when it needed to make it. Threw a short pass to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee didn't even get the first down. There was a number of mistakes that Dallas did that literally shot them in the foot and they lost that game. On for Atlanta, defensively, it wasn't a good game for them. They got lit up. They got beaten up pretty badly. Matt Ryan did all right. Matt Ryan was pretty good. He did very well. Todd Gurley got a touchdown in the game, and he did very well and utilized. The problem is that when you go up against the Dallas Cowboys, you got to account for Ezekiel Elliott. When Elliott starts going and he starts running, if he gets going, power, everything else, it's going to be a long afternoon to almost a long night for them. Honestly, truthfully, at the end of the day, I got to go with the Dallas Cowboys. I think Dallas is just a far better team than Atlanta. Even though I think Atlanta will get a lot of points here, Dallas should absolutely use the two-headed monster. Feed Zeke early. That's the key of the game. You feed Ezekiel Elliott. You establish the running game. Then you use Dak Prescott to use pass. He could use his legs. If they get going, forget it. It's over. Dallas wins, and they're going to win this one comfortably. 34-17. Dallas gets their first win of the season. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, hang on just 1 second. All right, give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. All right, here we go. Let me see. What do I have? All right. It was mainly because of this slow thing. All right. What to watch for? When these teams met in 2018, running back Ezekiel Elliott had 201 scrimmage yards and the Cowboys win. Elliott had 122 yards on the ground and another 79 as a pass catcher. Seattle's Russell Wilson threw 4 touchdown passes against the Falcons last week, so you should see some course correction in terms of pass defense, which means Elliott is in for a big day. Bold prediction, Falcons running back Todd Gurley will have his first 100-yard rushing game in Atlanta. He hasn't hit the century mark since week 13 of the 2018 season. But Gurley does have 200-yard games and 3 career meetings with the Cowboys, and the Falcons need to stick with the run. Stat to know, since 2011, only 4 teams haven't started a season 0-2. The Cowboys last started 0-2 in 2010. Atlanta in 2007, Green Bay in 2006, and New England in 2001. Both Atlanta and Dallas sit at 0-1 entering this matchup. What to know for fantasy? The longest active streak of games with 75-plus receiving yards belongs to Calvin Ridley, 5 straight. Julio Jones and Devontae Adams are chasing him, as they each have 4 straight. Betting nugget, Atlanta is 4-0 against the spread in its past 4 road games. Dallas is the FPI favorite, 64.4%. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I got Dallas winning this one, 30-27. Dallas beats Atlanta. Should be a fun game. Although we're not getting this game on our local Fox affiliate, which I don't know why, but, it is what it is. But anyways, let's move on to our next matchup. Staying on Fox. Oh, this will be a good one here. Classic Norris division matchup. The Detroit Lions squaring off against the Green Bay Packers. Lambeau Field, the legendary Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Obviously not frozen yet, but it will be in due time. So we'll enjoy that soon enough. But for right now, game's on Fox, of course. And on that call, it will be Chris Myers, Brock Huard, Greg Jennings returning to Green Bay, this time in the broadcast booth, and Jennifer Hale on the sidelines. Green Bay opening up as a 6-point favorite. Green Bay leads the all-time series against Detroit. Listen to these numbers. 100-72 with 7 ties. A lot of meetings there. But believe it or not, the Lions have won the last 4 meetings in a row in this. Actually, no. Stand corrected. Green Bay swept both games last year, including that controversial Monday night game in Green Bay last year. We all know how that turned out. Lions' last win at Lambeau was 2018, a 31-0 beatdown. So with all that being said, let's get into Detroit and Green Bay, this big Norris Division matchup. What to watch for? Can Packers receiver Davante Adams have another big day after his career-high 14-catch performance in Week 1 against the Vikings? Well, the Lions secondary is banged up, and Adams is a tough cover. He had at least 1 catch on 9 different route types last week, according to ESPN Stats and Information Research using NFL Next Gen Stats. The Lions played man coverage on 82% of their defensive snaps in Week 1, the highest rate of any team on opening week. Bold prediction, Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers throws 4 more touchdowns this week against Detroit. Rodgers has had just intermittent success against Matt Patricia's Lions, but this is a different Detroit secondary. Its corners are banged up. Desmond Trufant and Darryl Roberts both missed practices this week, and rookie Jeff Okudah might be making his debut. Depending how the Lions match up, that debut could come against Adams, so watch for Rodgers to slice through a depleted Lions secondary. Stat to know, per the Elias Sports Bureau, only 2 teams have gone 2-0 against an opponent in a season without ever holding a lead in regulation. The first was the 1977 San Francisco 49ers, who bested the New Orleans Saints twice. The second was the 2019 Packers, who won both of their games against Detroit last season on game-ending field goals, despite not holding a lead at any point in either game. What to note for fantasy? Adams was the top scoring player in Week 1, 41.6 points, and has caught 6 touchdown passes over his past 6 matchups with the Lions. Betting nugget, the Lions have covered in 6 straight games against the Packers. Green Bay, the FPI favorite, 68%. I got the Green Bay Packers winning this game, but I don't think it's going to be as close as the 2 games last year was. I think they'll win a little more comfortably. I'm going to say 35-23, Green Bay beats Detroit once again. So nothing more to say. MF. We had some concerns about Green Bay going into last week, especially going against Minnesota. But Aaron Rodgers, oh my God, he looked like that American hero I always knew he was.
Yeah, he you know what? I'm going to say it like this. I think somebody's a little angry about a certain player that got drafted, and he's like, oh, so you want to toss me out on the street in a couple of years, don't you? Goot to goots. And the coaching staff. Oh yeah? Okay. Watch this. 4 touchdowns. I think Green Bay knows you pissed off Aaron Rodgers, and when you piss him off, you better be ready, because boys, he came to fight last weekend. I think he's going to take it out again. He's on a revenge tour now. He wants to make the whole NFL know that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the world today. You know, we always hear about, you know, because right now in the NFC, you got guys like Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady. You also got Drew Brees, and Aaron Rodgers is in that conversation for the best quarterback in the NFC. Well, he just basically told the whole league, I'm the top dog. I don't give a damn who you are. I still am relevant, and I'm going to be there at the end. Because remember, it was really him single-handedly that took the Green Bay Packers to the NFC Championship game last year. So he's back with a vengeance, and ever since when they made that draft day deal to bring Jordan Love in to be the heir apparent, it almost was like a slap in the face to Aaron, and he was like, okay, watch this, and he went off. So yeah, I think he's going to do it again, and it's going to be a disaster for Detroit. So yeah, I'm going to say Green Bay wins. Anthony, it's yours.
Alrighty, and we're going to move on to our next game, and originally this was where the when the schedule first came out, the next game we would have gotten into would have been the game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans, but that game got pushed back to 425. So we're just going to move on to the game that is in that is going to be the next one on the docket, and that is the Minnesota Vikings squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. This, of course, will be on Fox, and on the call for that one, it will be Tim Brando with Robert Smith and Megan O'Leary. They will have that one, and Indianapolis is actually opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. A little surprising to me, but all right. Indianapolis leads the all-time series 16-7 with a tie. Their last meeting was 2016 in Minneapolis, and the Colts won that one going away 34-6. Matter of fact, the Colts have won each of the last 5 meetings against the Minnesota Vikings. And also, the Minnesota Vikings have never won in Indianapolis. And as a matter of fact, I do believe, no, they have never won at the Colts, whether they were in Baltimore or Indianapolis. So Minnesota has never won on the road at the Colts. All 7 of their wins were at home. So very interesting to say the very least. So nothing more to say. MF, I mean, wow, both of these teams. I mean, Minnesota fell flat against Green Bay, but Indianapolis, oh my God, you lost at Jacksonville. How could you guys?
Yeah, that's the one that's gonna got a lot of people angry. And the thing was, it was Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers cost them the game. 2 deadly INTs. 2 major INTs at the end of the game cost them this one, and that's what led to them. Where with Green Bay, because with Minnesota, they went up against Green Bay, and the thing was, Aaron Rodgers just went off. There was really nothing you could have done with that game. That was really Green Bay being Green Bay. Where with Indianapolis, you basically had a team that's not that great in the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you made them look like Super Bowl contenders. That is unforgivable, but I will give you a pass on this. One of their big players, Marlon Mack, tore his ACL. He's done for the season. Get well soon, Marlon Mack. They're gonna miss you big time. Their running game took a major hit when Marlon Mack went down. I think it was either Achilles or an ACL, but he is done for the year. But on top of that, Philip Rivers, I mean, he made mistakes. He had a great game. He was looking good, but then threw 2 interceptions, including the one that actually cost them the game. So he went back to the old Philip Rivers. You can't do that. I hope you can bounce back. First home game at Lucas Oil. I think Indy will get the job done. I think they're going to win this game. So I got Indianapolis winning. But the one thing I'm a little concerned about is Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, even though he didn't have a lot of yards, he got 2 touchdowns in the game last week. If he starts going like that again, that's trouble for Indy. But I think Indy will be able to minimize the damage enough, and I think they'll be able to sneak by. I'm going to give them the home cooking, and I'm going to give Indy the win. So Indianapolis is my pick. Anthony, it's yours.
What to watch for? Colts cornerback Xavier Rhodes faces his former team. The Vikings released him in the offseason after 7 seasons with the team. Rhodes' debut with the Colts didn't go too well last week against Jacksonville. He gave up a 22-yard touchdown when he was caught peeking in the backfield, expecting a run. Then he was flagged for 30-yard pass interference, which ended up leading to a field goal for the Jags. Can he improve while trying to contain Minnesota's passing attack? Bold prediction, Vikings receiver Adam Thielen will haul in 7 catches for 120-plus yards. It'll be his 2nd straight week crossing the century mark, putting him on his way to matching the historic streak he set in 2018 when he started the season with 8 straight 100-yard receiving performances. Stat to know, Colts quarterback Phillip Rivers has 4 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a 1-3 record in 4 career starts against the Vikings. His 35.1 total QBR against them is his worst against any team since the metric was first tracked in 2006. What to note for fantasy? Indianapolis receiver Paris Campbell not only set career highs in routes 38, targets 9, catches 6, yards 71, and fantasy points 14 in week 1, but he also led the team in deep targets 3. Betting nugget, the Vikings have covered their past 5 games after a loss. Indianapolis, a slight FPI favorite, 51.4%. Reluctantly, I'm going to go with them as well, but I would not be surprised if Minnesota would actually wins this game. I would not be at all. I'll give Indy the benefit of the doubt. 28-24. Indianapolis over Minnesota, but if Minnesota wins, I would not at all be surprised. Not at all. Although I have every right to go with Minnesota, but this was the toughest game of the week to call. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All the other ones I got no trouble with. So, all right. With that being said, now we're gonna switch back over to our side of the ledger. Buddy Bowl time. Oh yeah. I mean, we had one last week with the Dolphins and the Patriots. Well, it's the Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins. Hard Rock Stadium, Miami, Florida, on CBS. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, they will have the call. Buffalo opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. Very encouraging for me and my fellow Bill fans out there. And, of course, we all know Miami does lead the all-time series because they jumped out to a humongous lead on us. But we're catching ground, though. Miami leads the all-time series 60-47 with a tie. And last year, where is it? All right. Buffalo won both meetings last year, including in Miami, 37-20 a year ago. Miami last beat Buffalo at home the year before, 2018. That was a 21-17 final. But the Bills have won the last 3 meetings with the Dolphins. So very encouraging, to say the very least. And let's get into the Buddy Bowl, Buffalo and Miami. What to watch for? In 2 games against the Dolphins last year, Bills quarterback Josh Allen completed 62.7% of his passes for 458 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions, along with 11 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. We should keep an eye on whether that success continues against the revamped Dolphin defense, which now includes former Bills edge rusher Shaq Lawson, but still gave up 217 rushing yards last week to the Patriots, including 75 yards to Cam Newton. Bold prediction: the Bills will have 2 100-yard receivers on Sunday. They ran a 4-receiver set on a league-high 25% of their snaps last week, and despite the Dolphins' struggles against the run in week 1, the Bills will commit once again to their passing game. The stat to know, the Dolphins had 87 rushing yards in week 1, and they had 13 games with fewer than 100 rushing yards last season, tied for the most in the NFL with the New York Jets. What to know for fantasy? Josh Allen has thrown multiple touchdown tosses 9 times in his career, and he is 4 for 4 against the Dolphins and 5 for 25 against the rest of the NFL. Betting nugget, the Bills have covered 4 straight games as the favorite. Speaking of which, Buffalo, FPI favorite, 65.3%. Buffalo Bills win this game 31-17. Buffalo, I think Miami will give them some fits early, but I think Buffalo will ultimately pull away late. So give me my Buffalo Bills. I have no qualms about this one. 31-17 as we start our Change the Effin' Division tour. That's what we're calling it. Change the ending of the effing AFC East. That's the hashtag. And we're going to take another step towards that welcome change. 31-17. Buffalo beats Miami. Squish the fish indeed. So nothing more to say. MF, what happened against the Patriots last week?
It was basically what you expected. New England ran it on Miami. Miami doesn't have a good run defense. And even though Miami was able to get a couple of close, they kept it as close as they did, we couldn't stop Cam Newton. And then when Ryan Fitzpatrick throws 3 INTs, that ain't gonna help. That ain't gonna win the game. Even though Miami kept it close, but at the end of the day, we literally shot ourselves in the foot. That's what happened. That's why Miami lost the game. We shot ourselves in the foot. 3 interceptions. We started making penalties. Our guys started getting a little hot-headed at the end. And then on top of that, they just ran it on us, which was Cam Newton ran for 75 yards, scored 2 touchdowns on Miami. So, it was what you expected. If you make mistakes like that, you're not going to win a game like this. And then as far as Buffalo goes, you beat the New York Jets. Pump the freaking brakes, okay? I don't think that's any relevant rah-rah zitzboo bob BS. But I will say this. Buffalo does have Miami's number. At least in the last 3 games, Buffalo has given Miami a good beatdown. And yeah, I understand it. The way that Buffalo can manipulate the field and with the whole 9 yards, there definitely will be it's going to be a long day for the Dolphins. I'm not going to deny that. As a commentator, I got to be a professional about this. And I'm going to be. Obviously, I want to beat the living crap out of the Buffalo Bills. Beat them down, embarrass them, and all this talk about changing the division. Yeah, I want to change the division too. I want to see the Miami Dolphins at the top of the division, not Buffalo. So, obviously, that's my sentiment about that. But, at the end of the day, I'm going to be professional and I got to think about this wholeheartedly. Take my loyalty of the Dolphins out of the mix. And I got to say Buffalo wins the game. I have to. They were the better team. They looked good in their first game. They looked absolutely scary in the first game against the Jets. But the one thing I will say to Buffalo, don't take your foot off the gas. That's what you did against the Jets. And the Jets scored 2 late touchdowns on you boys at the end. Now, I know you guys are like, the game was out of reach. There was nothing. The game was out of reach. They weren't going to make a threat. Well, guess what? You do that to a team like New England. You do that to a team who's really, really good, and you take your foot off the gas, you're going to get smacked in the face, and you're going to take a big fat L on your head. So, memo to Buffalo Bills fans, do not take the foot off the gas. If you got the lead, you hold it. You don't let it just say, oh, we got this, let's coast. There's no coasting in the NFL. You don't do that. If you want to coast, be my guest. Watch what happens at the end when you do. So, Buffalo will win it, but I'm giving them some bulletin board material for them. Do not coast. Because if you do, you will find yourself at the end of an L. And one other thing that you also don't want to do not let Miami in the game. If you keep them close, they will get you. New England got lucky because of the fact that, if you notice, Miami was sneaking and they were peeking and they were about to pull the trigger, and they were about to pull yet another miracle in Foxborough, but a costly INT made a mistake, and then we got a stupid no call on a PI. That's what cost us. But then again, I don't want to get into about the sour grapes or anything else. A loss is a loss. I'll take it like a man, and I'll admit it. Because there was a few Dolphin fans that were yelling about, there was a couple of calls that went against the Miami Dolphins, and let me tell you, there were. And there's no doubt about it. But then again, you're playing in freaking Foxborough. You thought we were going to get those calls? No. So, that's all I'm saying. Anthony, Buffalo does win, but don't keep it close. Give it a good margin. But if you keep it close, we'll just reel you right in, and we'll break that wagon on you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's all there is to say on that. Personal feelings aside, now let's get back into the professional aspect of it here. San Francisco 49ers squaring off against the New York Jets, MetLife Stadium. East Rutherford, New Jersey in the Meadowlands on Fox. We have Brandon Gaudin with Jonathan Vilma and Shannon Spake. San Francisco opening up as a 7-point favorite. San Francisco does lead the all-time series 10-3. Their last meeting was 2016 in San Francisco. The Jets stole one at Levi's Stadium, 23-17 in overtime. Their last meeting in New York was 2012. All 49ers in that one, 34-0 beat down. Jets last beat the Niners at home in 2004. That was a 22-14 final. So yeah, Matt, you said it. I mean, the Jets, Buffalo dominated almost the entirety of the game before the Jets made some late noise at the end. But San Francisco, oh my God, you want to talk about double hard times. I mean, losing the game is one thing, but you lost your all-pro tight end, George Kittle. Whoa.
Yeah, they lost George Kittle, and nobody really knows if he's even going to play. Nobody really knows if he's even going to be starting.
He's out.
He's out. So, yeah. That's a major loss. That's a big loss. You just lost a big cog of your offense. Yeah, that's bad news. But San Fran's D's gonna rise up because they got embarrassed by the Arizona Cardinals, of all teams to get them. Arizona? Okay, we underestimated Arizona. We did not expect that from Arizona. We underestimated them, and they punched us in the mouth last week and made us pay for ever doubting them. Kyler Murray, I owe you an apology. I owe DeAndre Hopkins an apology because I bashed both those guys last week, and they made me eat my words. So the Niners are going to be spitting mad more than ever before, and they're going to take it out. This is going to be a beatdown. There's no doubt about it. The Jets are atrocious. I don't think they got any weapons because I know Le'Veon Bell's not playing. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's really much of a threat or anything about it. So I got really nothing more to add. I'm gonna say the Niners win, and they're gonna win this in a laugher. 34-0 seems just about right. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, maybe so. But the thing is, the Kittle thing, that definitely weighs heavily on me. It really does. And it changes my outlook a little bit for this one. But, well, I'm still going to go with the Niners, of course. But not at, but I think it's going to be closer than people think because of the Kittle injury. But anyways, let's get into this. From my end, that is. Let me see, where are we? Okay. What to watch for? It's a battle of the two relatively inexperienced quarterbacks, the 49ers' Jimmy Garoppolo and the Jets' Sam Darnold, 27 career starts apiece. Garoppolo, 21-6, has done more winning than Darnold, 11-16, who hasn't had the same talent and coaching around him as his counterpart. How each performs on Sunday will be a difference maker for two passing offenses looking to get going after week one losses. Niners rookie receiver Brandon Ayuk will go over 100 yards. This is the bold prediction. Niners rookie receiver Brandon Ayuk will go over 100 yards in his NFL debut. Ayuk is back from a hamstring injury, and after a poor showing for the Niner receivers last week, he will get plenty of chances to show why Coach Kyle Shanahan coveted him in the first round of the NFL draft. Stat to know? Well, this doesn't really matter because he's not playing, but I'm going to address it anyway. San Francisco tight end George Kittle was held to 44 receiving yards on 4 catches last week. He has not had back-to-back games under 50 yards since 2017. Well, he certainly will now. What to know for fantasy? No player in the NFL accounted for a greater percentage of his team's week one scrimmage yards than Jamison Crowder, 45.3%. Whether he suits up will be something to keep an eye on. Betting nugget, San Francisco is 7-21-2 against the spread in its past 30 games as a favorite. But in its past 20 games as a road favorite, San Francisco is 13-7. San Francisco is the FPI favorite, 61.1%. I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. Not as badly as MF had it, but I think they'll get it done, though. 31-20, San Francisco over the Jets. So nothing really more to say on that. So get into our next matchup here. next 1:00 game that is, and we're going to stay with Fox here, and it will be the Los Angeles Rams squaring off against the Philadelphia Eagles. Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, the home opener for the Eagles. And on the call for this one, it will be, as soon as it loads up here, Kevin Kugler with Chris Spielman and Laura Oakman. And Philadelphia actually opening up as a 2-point favorite in this one. A little surprising, but all right. Philadelphia leads the all-time series 21-17 with a tie. Their last meeting was in 2018 in Los Angeles. Philadelphia won that one 30-23. Last meeting in Philadelphia was 2014. Philadelphia also won that in 2014. That was a 34-28 final. Matter of fact, the Eagles have had the Rams number lately. Eagles have won the last 6 meetings with the Rams, 6 in a row. Rams haven't beaten the Eagles since 2004 when they were in St. Louis. And that was in St. Louis, 20-7. Rams haven't won in Philadelphia since 2001. And that was a 2017 overtime win when they were the St. Louis Rams. They haven't won in Philadelphia as the LA Rams since in the regular season since 1985. 1989-90, they won a playoff game there. But anywho, that's the schematics for that. So let's get into the Rams and the Eagles bullet points, if you will. What to watch for? All right, come on, where are you? All right, here we go. What to watch for? Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald has 0 sacks and just 1 tackle for loss in 3 career games against Philadelphia. He has a favorable matchup in this one. However, with inexperienced second-year player Nate Herbig projected to start at right guard, center Jason Kelce will need to chip in on double teams to prevent Carson Wentz, who was sacked a league-high 8 times last week, from having another rough day. Bold prediction, Donald will have a monster multi-sack game to that end. In a season-opening win over Dallas, Donald knocked down Cowboys linemen as if they were bowling pins and recorded his first sack of the season. Now watch for the 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year to take advantage of an inexperienced Eagles guard and make it another long day for Wentz. Stat to know, this marks the second career meeting between the top 2 picks of the 2016 NFL Draft, Wentz and Jared Goff. Wentz won the first in 2017 with 4 passing touchdowns, but both entered off underwhelming Week 1 performances. Goff threw 0 touchdowns for the 4th time in his past 9 games, while Wentz took those 8 sacks. What's a note for fantasy? Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert has 6.1 more fantasy points over his past 5 games than Zach Ertz does. Betting nugget, Philadelphia is 5-0-1 against the spread against the Rams since 2006. Philadelphia is the FPI favorite, not by much. It's 53.8%. But I disagree with that. I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams to win this game. My final score, 24-21, LA over Philadelphia. Should be a good one, though, nonetheless. But MF, both of these teams a little bit surprising somewhat. We really didn't expect the Rams to beat Dallas last week. But then again, they were in SoFi Stadium. They weren't going to lose their first game there. But Philadelphia, you lose to the Washington football team?
Yeah, that was whoa. That was whoa. That had a lot. That really got us really stirred. I totally agree with what you just said there, Anthony. I don't think there's really much to add there. Philly should win this game. And the thing was, Philly looked good. Philly had, I think they were spotted a 17-point lead, and then it all fell apart. Washington just turned the Jets, and they did what they needed it to do. So no, I think Philly should get the job done. Like you said, it was SoFi Stadium. It was their home opener. Now they got to come over to the East. And normally when you come from the East to the West, it's a little from West to East. It's a little more difficult. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Eagles as well. I think they'll win the game. There's really nothing more to add. So, Anthony, let's just move right along.
Alrighty. And there's a reason, there's a method behind Washington's madness, but we'll address that when we get into their game in a little bit. But for right now, let's get into our next matchup here. I believe we have 3 1 o'clock games left, and this one will be over on CBS. Should be a good one here. A lot of history between these two. The Denver Broncos squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh on CBS. Greg Gumbel, Rich Gannon, Jay Feely, they will have the call. And let me see here. The Pittsburgh opening up as a 7-point favorite. Denver leads the all-time series 15-8 with a tie. Their last meeting was 2 years ago in Denver. Denver actually won it 24-17. Their last meeting in Pittsburgh was 2015. Pittsburgh won that one 34-27. Denver last won in Pittsburgh regular season in 2006. That was a 31-20 final. So MF, I mean, Denver, you know, they kept it close. They kept it close against Tennessee, but Tennessee won on a last-second field goal. Whereas Pittsburgh, well, they had a little trouble with the Giants early, but then they turned the Jets on.
It pretty much, and you know what was the big factor in that game was because it was Big Ben. Big Ben found the fountain of youth, and regardless of his age, he dominated in the game and looked really, really good doing it. And yeah, I gotta go with Pittsburgh. It looks like Pittsburgh is starting to look like that team again. Offensively, they're doing all right. They're playing pretty well, and the whole 9 yards. Defensively, they are ferocious, man. They look like the old Steelers from old, and yeah, they're looking really, really good now. So I'm gonna go with that. I totally agree with what you just said there. I'm gonna say it. I do believe that the winners are the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're gonna win this game. Nothing more to add. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, it's gonna be Pittsburgh, no doubt about it. But let's get into the bullet points, if you will. What to watch for? The Steelers shut down one of the league's premier running backs Monday night, allowing Saquon Barkley only 6 rushing yards. The Broncos rushers fared a bit better against the Titans, averaging 4.1 yards a carry, but they enter Sunday's matchup with a question about Philip Lindsay's availability. Look for the Steelers' defense to dominate yet another ground game. Bold prediction, the Broncos will sack Ben Roethlisberger at least 4 times and force at least 1 turnover on a QB hit. Yes, Von Miller is out for the year. Bradley Chubb is still working his way back from last season's ACL surgery. And the Broncos were tepid in the pass rush in much of their Week 1 loss to the Titans. But Roethlisberger has faced the Broncos 9 times in his long career, and the Broncos have sacked him at least 3 times in 7 of those games, and at least 4 times in 4 of them. Stat to know, the Steelers have gone 58 straight games with at least 1 sack, tied for the 6th longest streak by any team since 1970. A sack in this one would put them in a tie for the 5th longest streak. What to know for fantasy? Roethlisberger, 22.1 points, was better in Week 1 than the healthy version of him we saw in 2018, 21.4 points a game, as he threw 3 touchdown passes on just 32 attempts. He had 0 TD passes on 62 attempts before his season ended last year. Betting nugget, the Broncos have failed to cover their past 4 games off less than a full week of rest. The FPI favorite, of course, is Pittsburgh, 66.8%. It's about 67% for Pittsburgh. Yeah, I got Pittsburgh winning this one as well. 31-16. Pittsburgh beats Denver. No worries on that one. So next game, another 1 o'clocker. This one will be on Fox. And believe it or not, we're going to be getting this game on our local Fox affiliate here in Fox Providence. The Carolina Panthers squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, where WrestleMania should have been this year, but unfortunately it wasn't. We all know why. But anyways, Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Lindsey Zarniak will be on the call for that one. Tampa Bay opening up as an 8-point favorite, and Carolina leads the all-time series 24-15. They split the 2 meetings last year. They met in London last year. Tampa Bay was the home team, and Carolina won the game by a score of 37-26. Tampa Bay won at home against the Panthers in 2018. That was a 24-17 final. Carolina's last win purely in Tampa was 2017. That was a 17-3 final. So here we go. Carolina and Tampa Bay get into this. What to watch for? The Bucs fell short in their quest to go toe-to-toe with the Saints last week. But since his first career start in 2001, Tom Brady has a career 48-13 record coming off a loss. Win percentage of .787. Second only to that of Russell Wilson. Panthers coach Matt Rule said it himself. No one's better at bouncing back from a loss than Tom Brady. But what about Mike Evans? Can he rebound from his one-catch performance? And how quickly can a Panthers defense that started 4 rookies last Sunday make progress in week 2? Bold prediction, the Panthers will sack Brady at least 5 times and maybe pull off an upset. They were one of 3 teams that did not get a sack in their opener and the only team that didn't contact the quarterback while running or throwing. Rule says he wants them to get more violent at the point of attack. Stat to know, both of Brady's interceptions last week came when throwing within 2.5 seconds of the snap, per NFL Next Gen Stats. He had 3 such picks in all of 2019. What to know for fantasy? The Bucs held Christian McCaffrey to 7.3 points in week 2 last season. Since then, he has joined Emmitt Smith, 23, Marcus Allen, 17, and Todd Gurley, 15, as the only running backs to score at least 15 fantasy points in 15 straight games. Betting nugget, Carolina quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is 10-0 against the spread as an underdog of 3.5 plus points. Tampa Bay, overwhelming FPI favorite at 72.5%. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game, but I think it's going to be a little closer than what they think. 28-21, Tampa Bay just barely gets by Carolina. So nothing more to say. MF, the home debut, the Raymond James Stadium debut of Tom Brady in a Tampa Bay Buccaneer uniform. Can he bounce back after that performance against New Orleans?
I hope so. He better. I'll say that for sure. I think they will. I think Tampa should win this game. Look, we just got to wait and see how it plays out, but I'm pretty sure that they'll get the job done. So I'm gonna go with Tampa to beat the Panthers. And Anthony, let's just move right along
to our final 1:00 game, and I'll tell you what, MF. I mean, this team was in the Zonk game of the week last week, and they did so well and impressed us so much. But then again, it's their opposition as well. They've gone from the Zonk game of the week to the number 3 game of the week on our side of the ledger, if you can believe it. The Jacksonville Jaguars squaring off against the Tennessee Titans from Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Andrew Catalon, James Lofton, A.J. Ross will have the call. And Tennessee opening up as a 7.5 point favorite. No surprise there. And and a lot of history, obviously, for these two rivals here. Tennessee leads the all-time series 29-21. They split both meetings last year, but both teams won at home. Tennessee won in Nashville 42-20. Well, it's been a long time since Jacksonville's won in Tennessee. Jacksonville has not won in Tennessee since 2013. That was a 29-27 final. But Tennessee has won 6 in a row at home against Jacksonville. So, but I'll tell you, MF, I mean, Jacksonville, surprise win of the week last week, beating Indianapolis. Tennessee just barely gets by Denver on that late field goal. But Jacksonville and Tennessee, I mean, can Jacksonville do the unthinkable and go 2-0, or does Tennessee make it 7 in a row at home?
I gotta go with Tennessee to make it 7 in a row. I just feel like they're gonna be the better team. I think they're gonna be more focused and more geared up than everything else. It's a home game, no doubt about it. But I'm pretty sure that they're gonna get the job done. So I'm gonna go with the Tennessee Titans to win the game. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be an interesting matchup, but I got Tennessee. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Find it here. Okay. What to watch for? Titans running back Derrick Henry has tormented the Jags to the tune of 498 rushing yards in his past 4 games against them. Jacksonville added middle linebacker Joe Schobert in the offseason, allowing Miles Jack to move to his more natural weak side linebacker spot. Pay attention to how the Titans find ways to get Henry to the second level of the defense, and how Jacksonville's linebackers attempt to prevent explosive plays. Bold prediction: Henry doesn't hit 100 yards rushing. He has rushed for 238 yards and 159 yards in the past 2 meetings in Nashville, and he has 700-plus yard rushing games since the start of 2019, tied for the most. But the Jaguars' run defense did a good job against the Colts for the final 2.5 quarters last Sunday, and rookie defensive tackle Devon Hamilton played well in his debut. The Jaguars are making Henry their top priority. They might get hurt by the pass game, but they're not going to let Henry beat them again. Stat to know: Jaguars quarterback Gardner Minshew has 3 passing touchdowns in consecutive games dating to last year, and no QB in Jaguars history has thrown at least 3 in 3 consecutive games. What to know for fantasy: Henry has 7 rushing touchdowns over his past 3 games against the Jags, and the Titans sure weren't shy about handing him the rock in week 1. 31 carries, the only player in the NFL with more than 25. Betting nugget: the Titans have covered 5 of their past 6 against the Jaguars. Tennessee, overwhelming FPI favorite, 72.4%. I have Tennessee winning as well. A little closer than you think because you know about what Jacksonville did last week. 20-14, Tennessee beats Jacksonville. That's my thoughts. So now let's move on to the late games now. And we move on to the lone 405 game. It'll be on Fox. A renewal of an old NFC East rivalry. It'll be the Washington football team squaring off against the Arizona Cardinals from the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. The legendary Dick Stockton, Brady Quinn, Sarah Walsh, they will have the call. And it is Arizona. Arizona opening up as a 7-point favorite. Absolutely. And as soon as this loads up, do apologize. This is getting slow on me. All right, here we go. There's a lot of history here because, you know, these two teams used to be division rivals back in the day. And let me see. Washington leads the all-time series 76-46 with 2 ties. And their last meeting was in 2018 in Arizona. Washington won it 24-6. Cardinals' last win at home against Washington was in 2016. That was a 31-23 final. So really nothing more to say on this. Let's get into this matchup here. What to watch for? The matchup to watch will be Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray versus Washington edge rusher Chase Young. It's a showdown between 2 of the best young players in the NFL, last year's number 1 pick and this year's number 2 pick. In their respective openers, Murray ran for 91 yards and Young had 1.5 sacks. While this matchup won't determine the game, it will definitely have an impact and will be fun to watch. Bold prediction: Washington will hold Murray to 50 yards rushing and Young will sack him twice. Young can be moved around, but had his best success as a right end against Jason Peters last week. He'll also be used on some stunts inside, and that's where he'll get Murray. But Murray will still throw for 225 yards in a win. Stat to know: Washington quarterback Dwayne Haskins had an off-target percentage of 30% in week 1, which ranked number 31 out of 32 qualified quarterbacks. What to know for fantasy: Washington posted a sack on 16% of Philadelphia dropbacks last week, the highest rate in the league and better than any performance it had last season. And since the beginning of last season, Murray ranks 27th in completion percentage when under pressure, 37.7%. And the betting nugget: the total has gone under in 9 of Arizona's past 11 September games. Arizona, decent FPI favorite. The FPI favors Arizona, 68.2%. I got the Arizona Cardinals winning this one again, 31-24. Arizona beats Washington. Now, you're wondering what I meant about Washington's there was a method to Washington's madness last week. Their coach, Ron Rivera, is battling cancer. And at the half last week, he went in to get an IV. He had an IV fluid thing put in him. And Dwayne Haskins apparently fired up the team, gave a very powerful and emotional halftime speech, and it really fired the team up. And that's why Washington did what they did against Philadelphia last week. So taking that into account, MF, can Washington do it again, or will our new dynamic duo of Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins run crazy again?
I mean, Washington can definitely do something. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to win, but when you're talking about Dwayne Haskins, when you're talking about what Arizona did, I mean, I think that could be the difference of the game. So I'm gonna go with Arizona. Arizona really shocked me because I did not think that they could have done what they did to the 49ers, and they did. Um, Washington is normally a second half team. I think what's going to happen, it's going to be like last week. I think Arizona will jump out early, take a lead. Washington will make a furious comeback, but this time around, Washington will not have enough to get by Arizona. I got Zona winning 31-27. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, and these final four games on our docket this week are all big time matchups. Well, not sure about this one, but the final three are all big time games. So here we go. 4:25 on CBS. This was originally a 1 o'clock game, but they moved it to 4:25. The Baltimore Ravens squaring off against the Houston Texans, NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. On the call for that one, it will be Kevin Harlan with Trent Green and Melanie Collins. And let me see. Yes, Baltimore opening up as a 7-point favorite here. So no surprise there. The series history, all Baltimore in this one. They lead it by a count of 8-2. They've won the last two meetings, but those games were in Baltimore, including last year, a 41-7 beatdown in Baltimore last year. Last meeting in Houston was 2014. Houston won 25-13. Baltimore's last win in Houston was in 2010. That was a 34-28 overtime win. So, all right, now to our marquee games of the week. This is the number 4 game on our ledger this week. MF, Baltimore, no trouble with Cleveland. But we saw Houston against Kansas City, and they hung with them for a bit, but KC was just too much.
But then KC dropped the hammer, and basically they showed why they were the Super Bowl champions. Yeah, and unfortunately, if you're the Houston Texans, you ran into the wrong team because Baltimore is just as deadly. They're just as powerful. They're just as focused. They're just as confident. They can beat you so many ways. I'm sorry. This is a no ifs. I got a lot of respect for Deshaun Watson. I got a lot of respect and a lot of love for what the Houston Texans have, but it's the Ravens. I don't see this going any other way. Baltimore wins. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. What to watch for? Will Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson continue to have success on the run? Both rushed for 7 touchdowns last year, but they also each scored 8 touchdowns with no interceptions when passing on the run, according to ESPN Stats and Information Research. Only then Buccaneer quarterback Jameis Winston threw more touchdowns on the run last season. Bold prediction, Baltimore's Lamar Jackson will rush for at least 100 yards. He showed last week that he has made great strides as a passer. But let's not forget, he's among the league's most dangerous playmakers when scrambling. The Texans have allowed quarterbacks to average 5.6 yards a rush since the start of 2019, which is the second worst average over that span. Last season, Jackson ran for 79 yards against Houston, including a 39-yard run, which was his second longest of the season. Stat to know, per the Elias Sports Bureau, the 2020 Texans are the second team in NFL history to face the reigning MVP and Super Bowl MVP in each of their first 2 games of a season. They faced Patrick Mahomes last week. The 2004 Indianapolis Colts are the other, as they faced Tom Brady, Super Bowl MVP, and the late Steve McNair, MVP to open their year. They started 1-1 and they finished 12-4. What to know for fantasy? 250 passing yards, 25 rushing yards, a passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. Deshaun Watson led the NFL with 2 such games in 2018. led again in 2019 with 3 such games and was one of 2 quarterbacks, along with Buffalo's Josh Allen, to accomplish defeat in Week 1 this season. Betting nugget, the Ravens have covered in 5 straight regular season games and 10 of their last 11. Baltimore, big FPI favorite, 68.5%. Baltimore wins. I'm going to go 34-23. Baltimore beats Houston. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston makes it a little closer, but I ultimately have Baltimore winning. I 100% agree with you, MF. So the final 3 games of the week, they're all big time games, including this number 2 game on our side of the ledger. The Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers debut at the brand new SoFi Stadium. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, they will have it. Kansas City opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. No big surprise here. And as soon as I get it here, all right. Kansas City leads the all-time series 63-55 with a tie. Chiefs won both meetings last year. The Chargers were the home team when they met in Mexico City, but Kansas City still won 24-17. The Chargers have not beaten Kansas City. Well, matter of fact, Kansas City has absolutely dominated this rivalry since 2014, winning all but 1 game against the Chargers. That was the only time the Chargers beat them was that legendary Thursday night football game that MF and I had at Arrowhead, the game that we'll never forget anytime soon, a couple years ago. Chargers' last home win against the Chiefs was when they were the San Diego Chargers in 2013, 27-24 overtime win. But since 2014, it's been all Kansas City, including in Mexico City a year ago. So, but anyway, let's get to the Chiefs and the Chargers here. What to watch for? Keep an eye on the turnover margin. In losing 5 of 6 games to the Chiefs since Anthony Lynn took over as head coach, the Chargers offense has committed 17 turnovers, and their defense has generated only 2 of them. That's ridiculous, said Coach Lynn. You're just not going to beat this team that way. Bold prediction, the Chiefs, who intercepted 15 passes in their past 6 games against the Chargers, will get a couple of picks against Tyrod Taylor. The Chiefs got consistent pressure on the Texans' Deshaun Watson last week, and look for them to have similar success against Taylor, who isn't as prone to throwing interceptions as ex-Charger quarterback Phillip Rivers, but will be forced into mistakes on Sunday. Stat to know, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is 8-0 with an 89 total QBR and 26 passing touchdowns in the month of September, all the best in the NFL since the start of the 2018 season. The Chiefs have won 10 straight games overall, including playoffs, the second longest streak in franchise history, 11 straight in 2015. What to know for fantasy? Chargers running back Austin Eckler has converted just 15.4% of his career red zone carries. The RB average is 18%. So it's worth noting that rookie Joshua Kelly had more touches in the red zone in Week 1. Betting nugget, the Chiefs have covered in their past 7 divisional games. Kansas City, big FPI favorite, 71%. Closer than people think, but I'm going to say Kansas City will win. It's going to be another fun game between these two. I'm going to go 31-24. Is that correct? Yes, 31-24. Kansas City beats the Chargers and spoils the Chargers' home debut of SoFi Stadium. So nothing more to say, MF. Chiefs and Chargers, they've had a lot of fun games over the years. The only time the Chargers have won over these last few years was that legendary Thursday night game that we had, and we'll never forget.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I'm going to go with Kansas City as well. I think they're going to get the job done. They're a strong enough team, and I just think they're going to make a lot of great points and a lot of great moments in the game. Kansas City should get the job done. They should handle this pretty well. I got Kansas City winning, so nothing more to add. Anthony Sunday Nighter, I guess.
And our game of the week, by the way.
Yes, it is.
The Tony and Mikey special. And we're going to have a lot of fun with this one. Sunday Night Football, the New England Patriots squaring off against the Seattle Seahawks in our game of the week, the Tony and Mikey special. Of course, it'll be the legendary Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth and Michelle Tafoya. Seattle opening as a 4-point favorite. Seattle leads the all-time series 9-8. Their last meeting was 2016 on a Sunday night in New England. Seattle won 31-24 in Foxborough. Their last meeting in Seattle was 2012. Seattle won 24-23. New England last won in Seattle in 2008. That was a 24-21 final. But of course, when you think of these two teams, we will all never forget one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time, Super Bowl 49. The interception heard around the world, which made MF and I yell out the biggest intercepted of all time. And we'll never forget it. So, MF, last time we saw these two teams, oh, not much. It was only one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. Can they deliver it again?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be as exciting, as amazing, as incredible, as Shakespearean drama filled as the game was. I don't think we're gonna get that this time around, but I do believe it'll be a solid game. But I gotta go with Seattle to win it. They're at home. Russell Wilson, I think, is gonna get a big game. I think Chris Carson is gonna run wild on New England. However, I think New England is gonna make it an interesting game and it's gonna keep it close. But I think Seattle is just gonna have enough in the tank to get the job done. Close game, 27-23. Seattle knocks off New England. So, Anthony, it's yours.
All right, MF, what to watch for? Will the Seahawks continue to let Russell Wilson cook? They strayed from their usual established the run MO and dropped back to pass on 11 of their 14 first quarter offensive plays against Atlanta. Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer has said matchups will factor into how much the Seahawks throw early, and the matchup this week includes the league's reigning Defensive Player of the Year cornerback Stephon Gilmore. Bold prediction, undrafted rookie running back J.J. Taylor will make a play that leads the national television audiences to take notice. At 5'8" and 185 pounds, he can play hide and seek, according to running backs coach Ivan Fears, who has compared Taylor to Dion Lewis and Darren Sproles in terms of his physical stature. Stat to know, Cam Newton and Russell Wilson have combined for 5 seasons with at least 3,500 passing yards and 500 rushing yards. The rest of the players in NFL history have combined for 4 such seasons. What to know for fantasy? Newton was the 6th highest scoring quarterback in week 1, and his 25.7 points were more than Tom Brady had in any single game from last season. Very impressive. Betting nugget, this ends the Patriots streak of being favored in 64 consecutive games. Seattle, the FPI favorite, 61.8%, just about 62%. I agree with you, MF. I'm going with Seattle to win as well. Just a little indemnity on the final score. You said 27-23. I got Seattle winning 27-20. But I'm right there with you. Seattle beats New England. Should be a fun game. I can't wait to have it. So, final game of the week, Monday Night Football. And this one is very special. But before we get into why it is, let's run it down. The New Orleans Saints squaring off against the Las Vegas Raiders in the debut of the Las Vegas Raiders' beautiful new stadium, Allegiant Stadium. This game is not only going to be on ESPN, friends. Oh, no. This game is also going to be simulcast on ABC. Yeah, you heard me right. ESPN and ABC will simulcast this game, and for very good reason. You notice the date of Monday. It'll be September 21st. September 21st, 1970. Why is that date significant? Well, I'll tell you why it's significant. Because that was 50 years ago. And it will be 50 years to the day that Monday Night Football made its debut on ABC, led by the late, great Howard Cosell. The matchup that night was the New York Jets squaring off against the Cleveland Browns at the old Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. The Browns won that game, by the way. I believe the score was 31-21 in favor of Cleveland on that night. But the Saints and the Raiders are going to be ushering in a brand new era in Las Vegas. And we're going to see that beautiful new stadium, Allegiant Stadium, and it's going to be something else. So that's all there is to say there. The new Monday Night Football crew will be calling this game: Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick, and Lisa Salters. They will have this game, and New Orleans opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. No big surprise there. The series history is tied 6-6 with one tie. Their last meeting was in New Orleans in 2016. Oakland stole one in the Superdome, 35-34. The last game was in Oakland, was 2012. New Orleans won 38-17. The Raiders have not beaten the Saints at home since they were the Los Angeles Raiders in 1994, 24-19. So, a lot of history here. So, let's get into our final game of the week. What to watch for? Las Vegas is breaking in a new stadium in the most bittersweet of circumstances. With no fans, there is not much of a home field advantage to help cover up the Raiders' injury woes at right tackle, where Trent Brown left the opener with a right calf issue and his replacement, Sam Young, suffered a groin injury. Keep an eye, then, on the Raiders' willingness to run the ball if they fall behind early. Bold prediction, Raiders running back Josh Jacobs will end the Saints' remarkable streak of 44 straight games, including the playoffs, without allowing a 100-yard rusher. But Saints running back Alvin Kamara will have more than 100 receiving yards to fill the void because Michael Thomas is out. He had a high ankle injury last week against Tampa. Stat to know, Las Vegas quarterback Derek Carr is completing 71% of his passes since the start of last season, second best in the NFL, to his opponent, Saints quarterback Drew Brees, 73%. Carr has thrown at least one passing touchdown with 0 interceptions in 5 straight games, the second longest active streak in the NFL, and tied for the longest streak of his career. What to know for fantasy? Saints wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders led the league with 4 red zone targets in week 1 and figures to stay busy with Thomas's role up for grabs. Betting nugget, Brees is 9-2 against the spread against the Raiders in his career. New Orleans, slight FPI favorite. New Orleans is a 58% favorite. I got the New Orleans Saints winning this game. 31-23. New Orleans beats Las Vegas and spoils the Raiders' home debut of the beautiful new Allegiant Stadium. So nothing more to say. MF, what a night this is going to be. Simulcast on ESPN and ABC, the legitimate to the day 50th anniversary of the start of Monday Night Football. How about it?
Yeah, this is going to be remarkable. This is going to be pretty awesome as well. There's really nothing more to add. But like you said, I think this is going to be a great matchup. It's just a damn shame that it's not going to, like you said, it's a darn shame that it's not going to be live on, is that there's going to be no fans there. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I do believe New Orleans is going to get the job done. So I got the Saints winning. Nothing more to add. Anthony, let's call it a night.
All right, we'll do MF, and that will put the bow on this Week 2 edition of Strictly Sports NFL Saturday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. We will next be with you Monday night for Ridiculously Raw. 3 matches have been announced. Drew McIntyre will once again face Keith Lee, and we will also see Braun Strowman take on Dabba Kato in the Raw Underground. And then from there, a triple threat match to determine the number 1 contenders for the Raw Tag Team Championship against the Street Profits, the Clash of Champions. Seth Rollins and Murphy, Angel Garza and Andrade, and the randomly thrown together tag team of Dominic Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo. We'll get to all that of Monday Night Raw, as well as my Tony's take on 205 Live and Impact Wrestling. Wednesday night, we will have Wednesday Night Mayhem, AEW Dynamite and NXT. MF will host that on Braves Fan 95. Thursday night, College Football Thursday, Week 4 edition. And our mega docket will be back because we're going to have more games coming in. Can't wait to see that. Friday night, Cerebral Smack Talk with MF. We'll review Friday Night SmackDown, and we'll also preview the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. And then next week, we will have Week 3 of NFL Saturday. And next week, oh my, got some good ones for you next week. The Los Angeles Rams against the Buffalo Bills. There's a big one right there. Tennessee Titans against the Minnesota Vikings. The Las Vegas Raiders against the New England Patriots. Houston Texans against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can make an argument for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Denver Broncos, Dallas Cowboys against the Seattle Seahawks, but two more huge primetime games. You thought the primetime games this week or something? Next week, Sunday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers against the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome, And then Monday Night Football, the game of the weekend, the Tony and Mikey special next week. I can't wait for this one. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. Patrick Mahomes against Lamar Jackson. Let's go. Cannot wait. So that'll be next Saturday. And then next Sunday, we will have the recap of Clash of Champions. So busy week next week, but we love it. We can't wait. And that's it. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here, signing off in spirit for good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, Dee Woodson, and always and forever Derek Ferrera. You know the routine. Everybody, thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend and Monday. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching week 2 of Strictly Sports NFL Saturday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.